Go Hogs. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
We have a saying around our place, we eat off the floor. And if you're willing to eat off the floor, you can be special.
And if you're not committed. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Jackson's definitely the type that will eat off the floor for this show. He'll do whatever it takes. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. We welcome in National College Football Analyst with ESPN, Tom Luginbill, on the show. Lugs, do you? I think this is going to be a hell no, but we did ours yesterday. Do you play fantasy football?
No. Good Lord, I barely got enough time in the day to do my actual job.
Well, we may have had a couple of beers and some tamales and wings yesterday, and had a group together. And in fact, you'll appreciate this. I had the first pick in the draft because we were terrible last year. So we went with Ashton Genty out of Boise State as our first pick, Luke's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Figure Pete Carroll will run him all the time, hopefully inside the 1, 2, 3 yard line. We can score some TDs. All right. So the big buzz is Texas and Ohio State. And I want to get your thoughts on the fact that Ohio State lost both their coordinators, that Chip Kelly joined Pete Carroll with the Raiders, and Jim Knowles, for whatever reason, decided to leave Ohio State after winning a national title and go to Penn State. And so Ryan Day wakes up and he'll have a big game week 1 with 2 totally new coordinators and systems. Whereas Luke's and I know Texas Arch didn't play much, so he's basically a new starter, but everybody on that team is running the same system they've been running for the last 4 years on both offense with Sark and defense with Kite, as you know. So, how big of an advantage is it for Texas to be where they are with their coordinators being there and Ohio State losing them after they won the national title, Luke?
Right, but offensively for Ohio State, their offensive coordinator's been on staff ever since Ryan Day took the job. I don't see a big shift there philosophically. I don't see a shift in terms of terminology and verbiage that would, look like you've gone back to the drawing board and reinvented the whole offense. I think the focus for Ohio State isn't so much about who's calling the plays, isn't so much about what the plays are called. It's how quickly can they get a young, inexperienced quarterback acclimated. Mm-hmm. And I, to be honest with you asked me this question about Ohio State. Look across college football. Like look at the programs that are starting over at quarterback. Ohio State, Michigan, okay, Texas, Oklahoma. The list goes on and on and on. Of Georgia, Gunnar Stockton. There are high-profile programs right now that don't know what the quarterback position is going to be yet. And in that matchup, obviously Arch Manning has played more than Julian Sand or Lincoln Keenholz, the 2 guys in the running at Ohio State. But I don't worry so much about the shift in coaching, the shift in personality. Ohio State's got such great players and such great culture and personnel that they'll adapt to the leadership of coaching. I don't have any doubt about that.
Okay. All right. So, and if you had to handicap it, wouldn't you say the talent on each squad's a push, basically?
Yeah, I probably would. I think that, both Ohio State and Texas last year, really good in the offensive line, had some departures that they've got to replace. All right. But now you got to go out and prove that you've got depth. I don't think Texas has the firepower that Ohio State has at wide receiver, top to bottom. Not that they're not competitive, but it's like nobody has a Jeremiah Smith or a Ryan Williams.
Woo!
So
hello,
that's an advantage for Ohio State.
Goodness.
Right there.
Hey, hold on. Let me interrupt. Is that the best duo since Chase and Jefferson in 2019 with Burrow, Luke? The wide receiver duo that you just referenced?
Well, Ryan's at Alabama. Jeremiah's at Ohio State.
Oh, got it.
So they're
Got
not
it.
on the same team. Yeah, not on the same team. But I will say this, the Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams coming out at the same time of the same class is probably the best that we've seen
That's right.
since Julio Jones and A.J. Green came out in the '08 class.
Now that's strong. Wow. Okay. So you look at it as Texas at Ohio State, push talent, Ohio State at home. Texas has, I think, a little more going for them as far as continuity. I know you say, hey, I think they'll be able to work it out. Was it odd that Jim Knowles decided to go from Ohio State to Penn State?
Yes, but I think maybe behind the scenes there's a little bit more. I've seen some comments made by Jim Knowles that he's maybe a little frustrated that, it came time to talk contract and extension and maybe, popping up and getting a raise that wasn't coming from the university side. And so
What?
I think, this wasn't, I think, just about him deciding to leave. I think there were some other factors at play.
Okay. All right, Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds Show. So it's interesting you were talking about new quarterbacks, and yet you and I were also discussing that this could be the deepest group possibly in the history of college football, Luke, as we were going through.
At least in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Let's take a second here and just read some of these off, okay? So these are guys that are all going to be playing, all right, that are all going to be draft eligible, all right? Garrett Nussmeier, LSU. Cade Klubnik, Clemson. Sam Levitt, Arizona State. Lenora Sellers, South Carolina. Drew Aller, Penn State. Carson Beck, Miami. Haynes King at Georgia Tech. Rocco Beck at Iowa State. Miller Moss at Louisville.
Wow.
Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. Avery Johnson, Kent State. Luke Altmaier, Illinois. Jake Retzlaff at Tulane. Marcel Reed at A&M. Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt. This is ridiculous. John Mateer at Oklahoma.
Wow.
Jalen Daniels at Kansas. I just go Jackson Arnold at Auburn. Noah Fafita at Arizona. I mean, it's ridiculous. Kevin Jennings at SMU. The caliber of player playing quarterback in college football right now in this class alone is ridiculous.
Luke Altmaier from Starkville High School to Ole Miss to Illinois. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, that's a great group. It really is. And with the new guys that we're referencing, and then some of the guys that aren't eligible, but we're expecting big things from, like DJ Lagway. To me, Lagway, if the stars line up and he stays healthy, Lagway could be the guy that we're talking about September, October, and November, like all year with his playmaking ability. But I just feel like his life and football IQ and everything that he can do when the live bullets are going against him, I think he's got everything that you need to be an absolute star. How do you see it?
I do too, but the whole entire thing is health. And you talk about an entire season riding on one guy.
Yeah.
Because I think Florida's going to be really good. I do. The schedule's daunting once again. But if DJ Lagway stays healthy, Florida's going to be a problem. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a problem for Florida.
That's true. So Florida, for our listeners, Florida goes to Ole Miss. This doesn't happen often, but now that we don't have divisions anymore, you'll see more people start when they redo the schedule. But Mississippi State and Ole Miss play Florida. That's happened like 2 or 3 times in the last 50 years in the same season. So Florida goes to Ole Miss, and Mississippi State will go to Florida. And if Lagway's healthy, it's going to be an issue. So are you sold on that? Is it Garrett Riley? That's Lincoln's brother, who's Dabo's OC, right?
Yeah.
Are you sold on him as a really good play, really good play caller, or he's still developing and he's trending that way, but I'm not ready to call it as one of the better play callers in the country?
No, I actually absolutely think he's one of the better play callers in the country. Now, understand when he took that job, and they started to go in a different direction with their offense, and they were going to take a new approach, he wasn't inheriting redshirt junior Cade Klubnik. He was inheriting redshirt freshman Cade Klubnik.
Right.
And at the time, they didn't have the personnel at wide receiver that they're playing with now. That offensive philosophy approach has grown together through recruiting, through experience, and now having been in that offense going into year 3. So if you would have asked me this question 2 years ago, my only answer would have been, well, if you base it off of the year that TCU went to the national championship, yeah, you're probably saying he's a really good play caller. But now you have a much larger sample size to make that assessment. This offense, through recruiting, through development, through retention, I mean, they're playing with Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams, TJ Moore at wide receiver. All of their offensive line is back. Cade Klubnik had a monster year last year, and almost their entire defense is back. This is as close a Clemson team to their national title teams as Dabo has had in the last 5 years.
Hello, Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So if you had to handicap LSU at Clemson week 1, who has the advantage talent-wise in the game, in your opinion, for this year, 2025?
Clemson does, because until we start seeing LSU get back to what we've all thought LSU should be on defense, that's where Clemson has the edge. Clemson might have 2 top 10 picks in their front 7. They're going to have an eventual top 10 to 15 pick at middle linebacker, but he's only a true sophomore in Sammy Brown. They're going to have potentially a first-round pick at safety and at corner. So all 3 levels, Clemson is loaded on defense. Tom Allen comes over from Penn State, former head coach at Indiana. I think he's just going to do a wonderful job. He's really, really good. So until LSU can prove that they have got that side of the football fixed, I would say Clemson has the advantage going in.
Oh, and LSU hasn't won an opener since 2019. I mean,
yeah, and they've struggled against ACC teams for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Leach got them in the first game of COVID 2020. They've gone back-to-back years losing to Florida State? Is that right, Luke?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think if they can get by Clemson, I think they'll be in the discussion the way their schedule lines up with Nussmeier and so on. But if they don't, they'll be really playing uphill the rest of the way.
I don't know if that's true. I tell you, now that the playoff has expanded to 12, and I don't want to make it as black and white as this is going to come out, but who cares what happens in the opening game? Like, honestly, if you lose that game, you're going to have to lose at least 2 more times probably to be in danger of missing the college football playoff if you're a ranked team. I mean, think about it. If look at Ole Miss last year. All right, Ole Miss's problem was down the stretch with LSU and Florida, right? And then you have what, the Kentucky game?
Yeah.
And they were still on the fringe of making it. So while we have all these high-profile marquee matchups, and I love it for college football, I love it for the fans, but the moment we expanded away from just 4 playoff teams in the college football playoff, this isn't the end of the world if you don't win this game. Clemson made the playoff last year after getting demolished by Georgia in the second half of the opening game last year.
Yeah, but they're in the ACC, and not that that's not a good conference. This is a different bear, is the way I look at that. Like Clemson's built like an SEC team.
It's a different bear. It's a different bear. You don't lose to Kentucky.
Well, look, I still can't believe Ole Miss lost to Kentucky at home with their best roster and with Lane and Pete and Golding. Yeah. But I mean, it just goes to show. Look, do you agree with this? It's more difficult to handicap the game that you and I both love, and our listeners listening, because of the portal and the lack of depth from the blue blood. It's extremely difficult to handicap all this now, right? With the portal and everything.
There's no question. We'll usually, we prognosticate, we project based on the information we have and this and that. Nobody knows what product's going to go on the field when you have a 20, 30, 40, in some cases 60 and 70 man roster turnover. Like obviously a large topic of conversation heading into this season is about North Carolina and Bill Belichick.
Right.
Anybody who says they know what North Carolina is going to be is literally out of their mind, uneducated on the state of college football. That's 70 new players. Nobody knows what North Carolina is going to be.
No.
And you could say that for the vast majority of most of the college football programs. I mean, you look at, Ohio State last year. They went out, bought a fantastic roster. The stars aligned. They win the national championship. Look at Florida State 2 years ago. Had almost every impact player on that roster was a transfer, and it worked. The following year, they made disastrous decisions in the transfer portal. They went 2-10. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Ohio State lost the last game of the regular season last year to a Michigan team that couldn't even get a first down pretty much the whole year. And then that's pretty remarkable what they did in the postseason. And I think really what Chip Kelly did as far as maybe tweaking that offense just a little bit, Luke's, and how they got rolling in the postseason.
Yeah, I think that they just got hot at the right time. Like they ended up getting the right draw in the playoff. All right, so you get that draw with Tennessee, and you're hosting them. You have a quarterback that played below average the entire year at Tennessee, and you're on the road, and that guy wasn't going to win a playoff game for you. And then you have this veteran Ohio State team. So now all of a sudden you win that game, and they start just rolling. They get hot, and all of a sudden everything starts to click. And that happens, man. I mean, that's the nature of the sport. I mean, it's no different than what Ohio State did in 2014. That Ohio State team lost to a below-average Virginia Tech team in week 2 at home. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, their starting quarterback goes down. Their second-team quarterback goes down. Actually, in a game that I had Ohio State-Michigan that year when J.T. Barrett went down and Cardell Jones comes in. They beat Michigan, and then they go on and win the national championship with a third-team quarterback. Like, that doesn't happen.
Tom Luginbill with ESPN on the Out of Bounds show. All right, you referenced Ohio State being an older team, and they were able to fight through the adversity of getting embarrassed by Michigan and get their act together and got hot at the right time. It's kind of like March Madness, what we've set up now in college football postseason. So would Clemson fit in that category this year, as far as older and?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you look, do you remember all the heat over the last 2 to 3 years on Dabo Swinney? Everybody pressuring him to get into the transfer portal and, completely change his approach, completely deviate from the path that got him there. And he dug his heels in and he's like, no, that's not how we do it. And as a result, see, what they've done is they've taken NIL and they've used it within their own roster for retention, as opposed to going out on the market and using it. So they have very few defections. They have guys that have chosen to stay. They have guys that chose not to enter into the NFL draft. And so here they sit by not deviating, by not just abandoning the core principles of their program. And at the end of the day, they've got this veteran team at almost every level, and they haven't had to go out and bring out outside influences to put it together. I think that's a huge advantage for them.
I can't wait to see what Clemson does this year, because it's a stacked roster. They've got all these guys going to the NFL draft early, projected next spring. Yeah. So this is going to be exciting. For our listeners, LSU at Clemson, week 1. He's Tom Luginbill on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right, I want to switch gears again, talk about Eli Drinkwitz. Have you been around him at all or gotten to know him at all, Luke?
Oh, yeah. Going back to when he was a GA at Auburn.
Oh, wow. So he's kind of, I mean, he and Kiffin are the funniest, kind of wittiest. That dude is, it looks like he's always up to something. And the way he started off his SEC press conference was hilarious. at SEC Media Days. But he's obviously good and smart, but what, a little goofy and funny? Help me out here. Describe him, if you would.
Yeah, he's just he's a very different, quirky, kind of goofy, happy-go-lucky personality. He's funny because he has like a pretty healthy ego, but it's not in an abrasive way. You know, it's a little bit endearing, especially if you spend any time with him, you know, face to face and personally. It's funny you ask me about him because he's like one of those guys that when you sit down and you have your coaches meeting, before you get into any football, you've talked like 5 other topics that have nothing to do with football.
Okay, like Leach. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, like Leach, but well, nobody has conversations like Mike Leach did. But yeah, I mean, just in the sense, like I got into a cigar conversation with him one time for a long time, and I got into a conversation that had to do with, you know, scheduling of your staff in the summer and, you know, who has to come in the office, who gets the day off, what's the rotation like just getting into different nuances of the profession.
Yeah. I mean, he was at App State as the head coach for like 5 minutes. And so we weren't, you know, and that's kind of a setup program to a certain extent. I mean, with what Moore and maybe one other dude did before him, I can't remember. And so I really wasn't sure, Luke, and I know you're right in the backyard there. But he and Beamer are the two that have surprised me, Tom Luginbill, to be honest. I just wasn't sure it was going to work, and hey, give them credit. It's worked at Missouri and South Carolina.
Yeah, a couple of things have happened for Missouri, and it had to do with timing. When he took that job, for whatever reason, there were 2 consecutive cycles in recruiting, the 2022 class and the 2023 class, that were really good in Missouri and Kansas and Iowa. And then they were able, that kind of coincided with them putting together a, you know, relatively impressive NIL deal and collective, and they were able to keep a lot of those guys at home. So they bolstered their roster at the right time, and it worked. And I think the Missouri job and the job, and this isn't to discount Shane Beamer in any way, shape, or form, but Shane Beamer's at a job where he has access to players in every direction.
Right.
Missouri, that is not the case at Missouri.
Right.
You got to go into everybody else's backyard to put your roster together.
That's a good point. They've both done a really good job. I mean, and not sure what's going to happen with the Penn State transfer and the redshirt junior at Missouri, but with Lenoris coming back and Shula getting promoted to the OC really lines up for South Carolina, Luke's. I don't know we got to get out of here, but I think that is a big time upgrade. And I think Shula is going to be really good with Lenoris. I hope you have a great week, buddy, and I appreciate you joining us so early in the morning and early in the week. Thanks, dude.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. See ya.
Tom Luginbill, National College Football Analyst with ESPN. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local, go with the home team, as Jake Mangum likes to tell us. He made a great catch last night.
Stand by for audio. Got it.
It's a WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Woo! Oh man, oh man, oh man. The Bud Light Summer Tour continues. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The show is brought to you by award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon and a fabulous, old-fashioned or Negroni. Kessler Prime and the Renaissance. Pair it with the rack of lamb or the ribeye. And then go with some bacon wrapped shrimp. Award-winning Elijah Craig Bourbon. I'm heading there tomorrow. Looking forward to that. We'll be picking out a barrel on, we're taking a tour on Wednesday. I'm going on tour like Jackson goes on tour with Humphreys, but I'm going on the Elijah Craig Heaven Hill tour for the next 3 days. So my second home, Kentucky, has called. I will not be staying in Lexington. So Mark Stoops and Mark Pope, I just realized they're both Marks. Okay. And will not get the benefit of seeing me because I'm staying in Louisville for the first time in a while, actually. But excited. They opened up some new spot in the distillery, so we're getting kind of a private VIP tour at Elijah Craig Heaven Hill. And needless to say, I'm excited. And they dropped another link on me via text a couple of days ago where Elijah Craig won another award. And I need to read that, and so that I can soak it all in and convey it to the people, right?
That's right.
But, Elijah Craig tour starts tomorrow. There will be pictures on Twitter at Bo Bounds and Instagram at Bo_Bounds. Maybe not a lot, but there'll be a couple.
That's all we need.
Yeah. I think I've got to go to the Brown Hotel and have a drink. It is one of the coolest hotels and bars, I think, in the country. It's absolutely beautiful. It's kind of got a 1920s feel. Not that I would know. I'm not that old. But it's kind of got a 1920s feel. And super, super cool bar. And the clientele that goes there at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a good people watching spot. How about that? And beautiful lobby. I can't imagine what that place is like. And the celebrities and CEOs that are in the Brown Hotel downtown during the Derby. But I'm excited to go tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. So
call old, what's his name? Jeffrey Brahmer?
Jeff Brom, who is a quarterback freak.
Yeah.
And he's at Louisville. He should be at LSU or Bama or I'm not that these guys need to leave on all the programs I'm referencing. What I mean is
they missed.
Like, I think Elko's going to win at A&M, but holy smokes, you drop Jeff Brom there. Get out of the way.
You think he's a better coach?
Brom's a better coach, but that doesn't mean that like 3 years from now, Elko won't be better.
Sure.
Brom's just been a head coach longer, and he went to Western Kentucky and Purdue and won.
Purdue.
You don't just, other than Jeff Tiller with Drew Brees, you don't just show up at Purdue and win. Now, it will be interesting to see what Barry Odom does at Purdue. I wouldn't have taken that job, as you and I discussed last week. I would not have left UNLV to take the Purdue job. But I recognize that they doubled his salary, and it's in the Big Ten. But if I'm living in Las Vegas and I just won 11 games, I hang in there one more year. And
Big boy job.
because you don't know what's going to happen at Arkansas.
No.
With Sam Pittman, you don't know what's going to happen at Kentucky. Although if John Summerall, who's at Tulane now, but was at Troy, he's going in year 2 at Tulane.
Right.
If John Summerall hasn't been scooped up, he wants the Kentucky job, but that doesn't mean that he has to go to Kentucky. That's what we do, is because we're very collegiate in this area, in the Sun Belt. But just because he's a Kentucky guy doesn't mean he's going. I mean, if something, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if A&M opened up,
right,
you take A&M over Kentucky.
Well, yeah.
If Georgia opened up, which it's not, but you take, Georgia over Kentucky
All day.
I mean, for a 15-year stretch, you take Mississippi State over Kentucky.
Yeah.
And now they can't get out of their own way. The Golden Moon Casino text line is 601-885-3776. People I don't even know what Ole Miss is going to do other than they're going to be good. Will they be like super really good? I don't know. But people have asked me about Mississippi State. I have no idea what to tell you. It's what Tom Luginbill just said. You have 60, and you don't know either. I don't think the coaches know.
They have no idea.
I mean, it's August 4th. And you have 60 new players on the roster. You have the most inexperienced staff in the SEC, the most inexperienced head coach, and the most inexperienced 10 assistant coaches that, quote unquote, wear the headsets. So, and you have 60 new players. You got 33 in the portal and signed another 25 or whatever in high school. I don't know what to tell you. Do you have more talent on the team? Yes. Are you bigger and more athletic? Yes. Don't know how to.
Does that equate to wins?
I don't know. I mean, you should. The floor should be 4-8. And God bless. That's sad.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just pitiful what's happened since 2017 to this program. It's been burned down like 4 different times. I mean, can somebody block off the fires and just get some, start to build the foundation back? I mean, it's a program that's absolute in the heart, as Luginbill and I were talking last week off the air. It's a program that's in the heart of a talent bed. I mean, you're in Mississippi on the Alabama border, Sun Belt, athletes everywhere. You should always have guys who can run and hit and are athletic. And it's never been easier to win than it is today because of the portal. It's never. See, Mississippi State fans have been brainwashed.
Duped.
And they bought all this nonsense. It's never been easier to win if you have the right people driving or flying the plane or driving the ship or driving the car. It's never been easier.
Ask Indiana.
And it just comes down to 7 or 8 players. You should always have this like foundation core of athletes, just good, solid players. And then, you got an edge rusher, a couple of good offensive linemen, a quarterback that can make some, he doesn't have to be great, quarterback that can make some plays, and one skill player on offense.
Boom.
It's never been easier to win. You should be saying that over and over again. Instead, you've let other fan bases and other people tell you that it's this, impossible, which is nonsense if you looked at the college football last year. It's never been easier to win.
Arizona State, Indiana.
SMU, Indiana, Missouri, South Carolina.
Playoff teams right there.
Come on.
That's incredible.
I mean, these are programs that you're definitely as good as, if not better. And you're in an unbelievable location for talent. That's how you should look at it. I mean,
they have been
so I don't know I have no idea what you're going to do. You should win 5. It's 5. In my opinion, the staff has to win 5 games to keep their job. And you want to root for them to do that. You want to root like crazy for Levy and the staff to win 5 games, but you can't go buckshot. And what I mean is 0 for in the SEC and keep your job. You can't do it. Or you're not a serious program.
That's right.
You're not serious about winning. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're driven by your next GMC Sierra truck from Fowler GMC. Hit the website, fowlergmc.com. Oh. Well, good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. The show is brought to you by the Rogue Men's Store. They're about to drop a full-blown Peter Millar store inside the Rogue. Newly renovated, they moved their shop all the way up to the front of the Rogue building on I-55 frontage road. And Spring Street Cigars is now open. They took all 3 floors, and it is a beautiful, beautiful cigar shop and lounge with a full bar and a rooftop bar, which is going to be great in a month and a half. All right? So that's awesome, too. Want to say good morning. Welcome in. You're awesome. Thanks for listening to us. We appreciate you. Love you. Appreciate you listening to the show. You can stream the show on the Out of Bounds radio app or the zone1059.com. Steve Robertson will join us next at 8:30. We'll see what's going on in Starkville. I was there this weekend, but they made me work a little bit. It actually wasn't bad. But we moved. So Jackson Meadows, we moved Wilkes in over the weekend to his house with his buddies. And they got a cool spot, good location. And, you know, I'm sure they'll keep it clean and good food in the refrigerator and everything else. But so I didn't really, you know, when I go to Starkville, I'm pretty social. Right. And I have a lot of friends, you know, I know that's hard to believe, but I have friends that live up there, but that drive in,
Sure,
you know, from out of state and so on and hang out with them all the time. But it was a get focused and lock in and get the furniture in type deal.
come on, Lock Ward.
Well, every house needs a lock.
That's it.
That is one of the
I
great
love that.
lines.
It's so good.
Every house needs a lock. Boom. Realtor Lock Ward. But anyway, we had a good time, but I didn't you know, do the food scene and
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so you weren't active on that scene.
no, I just grabbed a quick to-go order.
From Taste.
The grill.
The grill.
Because it was his house is near there.
Ah.
So it was just like on the way back to our place.
Right.
To be honest.
Wait, you over there by Montgomery?
Yeah. So that was it. And then I got up the next morning and drove home on Sunday because,
We had stuff to do.
well, fantasy football draft at Kessler Prime.
Precedent.
And you showed up, you got there by, well, not 1 o'clock, but you were there by like 1:05.
Yeah, and I showered.
And you showered.
It's incredible.
And you wore a golf or some
polo.
kind of polo or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell. I was
up at
really
10:30,
proud of
man.
it.
I was up at 10:30. Well, I knew I had to be there.
Well, when I text you, because a lot of times on the weekend, starting about 7:30 in the morning, I think I'll be looking at something and think about it for the show, and I'll start thinking about texting you. And then at 8:30, I'll think about texting you.
Yeah.
And then 9:30, and then 10. Then I forget for a little while.
Yeah, it's probably best.
And then at 2:30, I remember again, and I'm like, oh, okay, he could be up.
Perfect timing.
But you got up at 10:30. When I text you, and I was like, hey, I got into the Fantasy Sleeper app. You got right into it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, I actually am a fan of it, to be honest. Last year, we just couldn't log in.
Well, you never thought about it. I tried to get you
logging
to
in.
the first few,
We were 2-0. And we started 2-0.
We started 2-0 without putting our lineup in.
And we started 3-5, 3-2 through 5. Like
3-2 through
we
5
were-
is not bad at all.
No, you're a driver. Like, you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
So they're lucky.
right,
So Champ
right.
is lucky he got that one because we'll be taking that this year.
Oh, TR?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won it.
He's won it a few times. I remember him being problems 10 years ago because he was good.
I don't think so.
You don't
I think
think?
he's been okay. And
Really?
he just came, yeah.
Who?
But he obviously had, I heard the discussion during our draft that, because I never even got on the app last year.
Right.
So I didn't track anything, didn't know who was in the championship and so on.
We had Josh
But-
Allen. At one point, you had Josh Allen on your team somehow.
I
don't
did?
know. Yeah, apparently.
And we let him go?
I don't know how it worked out. I don't know what happened.
Well, how did we let? No,
No.
that means somebody took him.
No, something happened.
What?
I'll dig into it. We'll do a little investigative research.
Well, anyway, the point is in all this is that two of the guys, the two teams and guys that were in our fantasy football championship, I guess TR had Baker Mayfield.
Really?
Because Baker scored 31 points in the championship game.
Teed off, yeah. Baker was.
I don't remember that, so I usually wrap it up like maybe a week or two before that last weekend.
Try to,
because some people sit out.
That's right.
And I guess Baker was awesome, like either the third to the last game or next to the last game.
Yeah.
For Tampa Bay.
I think he won a bunch of people some playoff games that week.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's Baker. Baker always puts up good fantasy numbers. Just slinging out there to Mike Evans, most underrated player in the league.
Mike Evans is a phenomenal football player, but he's under because again it's Tampa Bay. That's not known as even with their 2 Super Bowls and some of the things that they've done well. They were like the Saints. They were so bad in the 70s, 80s, and 90s until Dungy and them got it rolling, and then Gruden, parlayed that into a title, and then Brady and Gronk. Yeah. In that group won it. But it's like Drew Brees. He's underrated because even though the Saints won and they became a big deal, they're still not a Northeast team, Midwest team, or the Cowboys.
Yep, that's fact.
I mean, let's think about a team that hasn't been able to get it together since the 1985 Super Bowl or 86, whatever. I was there with the Bears. And I know they went to one under Grossman and lost to Manning, but you know what I mean. They haven't played offense in 40 years. If they get it, they haven't. Chicago has not got it rolling in the social media, more streaming, red zone era where we all can consume games easily.
Yeah.
Okay. I know they had Cutler. I know they went to the NFC Championship game. They beat the Saints and they lost to Manning and the Colts. But for the last 40 years, or 35, they've been garbage for the most part and not interesting and haven't played. If they get it, they're like the Florida Gators of football.
Okay.
If the Chicago Bears ever get rolling, watch what the media does.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Huge media market. They've been boring, terrible on offense. If Caleb Williams and that crew can get it rolling, we'll see.
Gets it rolling too. I mean, being the first pick and all that, there's everything. I mean, hey, he is our fantasy quarterback, so he better get
I'm not excited about that.
I love it.
Do you?
I love it.
Okay, so
really
you feel like he's got some.
I absolutely do.
All right.
I think it's going to be a really good year for him. Yeah, I mean, fantasy-wise, he didn't have a bad year last year.
We also have Geno.
Yeah, and we got
he'll be solid because Carroll makes everybody pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Even though Pete Carroll is a defensive specialist.
Yeah.
I think he's because he's from the West Coast. He's always had the innovation on the offensive side enough to make his quarterbacks better. Now, I know he loves to run the football, and you have to. I mean, I know we love to see everybody throw it, but you got to run it. Bartoo's going to join us at 9:30 today. I had an hour and a half conversation with him on the way up to Starkville Saturday morning. So, I mean, we covered a lot. It was Saturday morning. I didn't have anything to do, so I wanted to bother him. And he said, well, I just ran the numbers on all blah, 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 blah. He's taking all kinds of crazy pills. Mm-hmm. And he said, can I just tell you what wins games in college football? I said, sure. He said, not going fast on offense and running the football. So, the fans believe that pace of play and going fast wins big. It doesn't. Even Kiffin has slowed down and realized that you got to stop, settle down, let your defense run. Now, Kiffin does understand you got to run the football because what did Lane say a couple of weeks ago when he was interviewed? They were like, why didn't you finish out games? And he's like, because we couldn't run the football in the fourth quarter or in the second half / fourth quarter like they could the year before when Judkins would shut people down and get those 3 first downs, run the clock out, and let the defense rest. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Steve Robertson on Hail State football. You may need a shot of Balteo tequila coming up next.
Why is there air?
Good morning. Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app and thezone1059.com. And football season is here, thank goodness. And we're all, well, I think most everybody is fired up about it. It's going to be, even if your team's not good, you're going to have a good football season because of all the great games in college football and the NFL. So that's a good thing, and the access that we have. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. We welcome in Steve Robertson, owner of genespage.com, 247 Sports, the Boneyard Podcast. All right, Steve, let's talk football. I know it's early, but do you have anything that you can share with me and the audience as far as what you're hearing about Mississippi State football?
Well, I mean, it was a good first week. You know, I mean, there's only so much you can tell that first week. A lot of it's just kind of going back over install from the spring. And then, of course, a lot of new faces, you know, especially in that offensive line that didn't get the benefit of spring. And so it's Bill Holt's job to kind of get those guys, you know, meshed into a cohesive group. And, you know, we'll see how things go. We'll get an opportunity to watch a little practice this morning and eager to get out there and just kind of see how things look. But the reality of it is that, you know, Mississippi State's got a lot of work in front of them. Yeah, I worked over the weekend kind of looking at the success of second-year coaches in the last 50 years. 6 of those 8 at Mississippi State made a ball game, you know. And so if that trend continues, that would be, you know, a good thing for Coach Jeff Levy. But, you know, people are not optimistic about that aspect of it. But the reality of it is until we play the games, you don't really know what you have.
All right, so there are still people that want to believe that, you know, we're always about the backup quarterback or even the backup. And with Shapen not playing much last year, what game did he get knocked out, Steve? I can't even remember.
Florida.
Okay, Florida at home. All right. So with that, we've had people text in that they believe Kamario Taylor's going to be the QB. I get that he's talented, but even though Shapen has battled injuries throughout his career at Baylor and Mississippi State, this is Blake Shapen's team until if he doesn't get hurt, it's his team, or until, God forbid, he gets injured. I mean, don't you believe this guy is clearly the guy to lead the way in 2025?
I do. Now, Kamario Taylor is one of the best athletes on the football team, not just in the quarterback room. I mean, he is a freak of an athlete. And so that doesn't mean he's the best quarterback right now. He's the best athlete, but he's not the best quarterback. People forget, like Blake Shapen in those 4 games last year, threw 8 touchdowns against 1 interception. You know, he had the bad fumble against Arizona State, turned into a scoop and score, but you know, Blake was really good at protecting the football. Ball security was clearly a strength for him, and that's going to have to be the case. And if you go look at kind of what Van Buren did, while he showed some flashes, I mean, there were some other games that, you know, he took a lot of chances and Mississippi State paid for him. You know, I watched just yesterday, went back and watched the Arizona State, Texas A&M, and the Egg Bowl just to kind of get back into it in that respect. But there were a lot of times last year when there were opportunities and plays to be made offensively, and the inexperienced quarterback didn't make it. And that's not to just, you know, put all this on Michael Van Buren. There's going to be up and down with some young quarterbacks. But, yeah, I think Blake Shapen is head and shoulders above everybody else right now. Kromenhoek, of course, has got a little starting experience under his belt. So I feel like the quarterback room is in good shape, and Kamario Taylor is clearly the future, and I think you'll see him some this year. And, you know, he's been in a lot of these highlight videos they're tweeting out. So there's some room for optimism about the future. But, yeah, I think you'll see him play some this year. But by and large, it should be Blake Shapen taking the majority of the snaps.
Okay, but you expect them to create – I mean, when you say that, you expect them to create some red zone packages for him or short yardage packages for Kamario Taylor? And do you think that Kamario will leapfrog Kromenhoek to get the reps when they do want to sub over Kromenhoek, and that Kamario will be the guy that will go in after Shapen, regardless of what happens?
Yeah, I'm not ready to make that leap just yet. But yeah, I do think you're going to see all three guys play, especially in some of these games where you get some separation one way or another. I think you've got to go use those 4 games for Camario, let him get his feet wet and see what he can do and put some things on tape. But, Kromenhoek was second highest rated quarterback in the portal. And so this is a guy that's got a lot of ability as well. And there are some people, obviously, because, familiarity with names makes a difference, right? And then you see all this stuff with Camario and social, so it's easy to kind of get behind that. But Kromenhoek is a very talented quarterback in his own right, and so I don't think you can sleep on him either.
Okay. All right. The running game, you mentioned Shapen 8-1, 8 touchdowns to 1 pick before he was hurt, which is pretty damn strong. And he didn't have a running game. I think they're going to be 2-3 times better running the football. So if he does stay healthy, even though he doesn't have a talent like Coleman, who I think is the best they've had since Molds, how do you handicap that as far as how the offense looks as I roll that out, as I lay that out?
And what's interesting, too, is ironically, it's the game that he got hurt when the running game kind of found some success. That Davin Booth kind of got going. He didn't get the benefit of spring last year. And so it took him, a handful of games to kind of get rolling. But I think the running game this year should be a strength. And Jeff Levy was very candid about that last spring, about how that running back room had to get better. And then you find out beginning of fall, Jeffrey Pittman's not going to be a part of it. So, your top returner is no longer available. And so they had to kind of figure that thing out. And I thought Johnny Daniels served as a good complementary piece last year. He's a hard-nosed runner. But when you bring in Fluff Bothwell and then you get, Gayton back and have the ability to kind of use him as a situational guy, I think you feel really good about the room. And Levy's been very forthright about that, about how much progress they've made in the running back room. And they want to run the football. And the reality of it is the state's got to be in a situation where you can run the football and be pretty balanced on offense, because there were a lot of games last year they were having to chase the game. In first quarters was the least amount of points. They scored 65 points last year in first quarters, which was the most futile quarter offensively. And that's what happens though, is you weren't able to score early. You get behind, and then as a result, you get a little one-dimensional offensively. And so hopefully, you can use that running game, have some balance, and kind of lean on people a little bit and not constantly have to throw the football, which makes you so much more predictable.
So the offensive line is just a huge question mark because of the guys they added after spring practice in May or June, right, Steve?
Well, I think from a depth standpoint it is, because when you really break this thing down, Cannon Boone was a starter, got hurt in the Arkansas game. He's back. Luke Work was a starter. Albert Reese was the whole award winner last year. And then there's Jacoby Jackson. So, you're going to return 4 of 5, first half of the year type starters. And I think you feel good about what those guys can do. But the reality of it is you got to land on a center. And, of course, they went out and signed, a handful of guys in the portal. They really committed a lot of scholarship spots to more veteran offensive linemen. And so I feel good about the look of that group. It's going to be about building chemistry here over the course of the next, 4 weeks before you get to Southern Miss. But, yeah, there are some question marks, but it's not like it's a completely revamped room.
Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com. Let's go to the defensive side of the football, who were god awful. I think it's the worst defense in my lifetime, and that includes like 03 when Jackie was heading out the door, and maybe a year under Rocky or something like that. So when we're talking about bigger dudes, more athletic, and hoping that McIntyre and Rhodes can steer Coleman Hutzler in the right direction. What are your realistic expectations on what the defensive line can be this year for MSU compared to last year? And do they have an edge rusher that can at least somewhat get to the quarterback? Because what was the total sack number last year?
10.
Yeah.
10. Yeah, just saying it out loud. You're just like, what? And I think that not only were they last in the SEC in actual sacks, they were last in actual pressures. And a lot of that is, I think, personnel. And of course, you've committed a lot of scholarship spots to that, and you brought in Vincent Dancy. And I think sometimes too, that kind of gets maybe lost in the conversation sometimes because we are so excited about the additions of McIntyre and Rhodes. But Jeff Lovey went out and kind of made some changes off the field to shore up that defense in addition to the commitment on the portal side. But, if they're just above average, I think you can have a much better year just because how many times last year, like I think about that Tennessee game, right? That game was still in the balance in the second half, and State was making some plays, but eventually they just lined up behind that big offensive line and says, we're going to give Sampson the football, and if you can stop us, you can stop us, and State couldn't, and the game gets away from you. And then you look at what the bloodletting, the Arkansas game proved to be, which is arguably the worst matchup State had last year, just from personnel standpoint and the fact that philosophically Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino wanted to line up running football. It's a terrible matchup for State.
With a true freshman because their starter had gotten hurt the week before and they ran through him for like 9.8 yards a carry or some good hell.
And goodness, and if he doesn't pull a hamstring, who knows what happens? It was an abysmal performance, but you went out and you feel like you've corrected that. And if nothing else, they look like an SEC defensive line. Last year they did not. And listen, there was a couple of highly recruited players last year on that group that just either got banged up or didn't perform. And so you didn't have much depth. And I go back to the Arkansas game. I think we've talked about it on the air before. You had, if memory serves me correct, you had Kai McClendon, a true freshman, starting alongside Corey Clark, who was a junior college guy that didn't have anywhere to go. And so he was kind of a depth piece. So you're lining up with two guys that, might have had 50 combined SEC snaps under their belt, and you're going to turn them loose against a very physical Arkansas offensive line. I mean, it's just cruel and unusual punishment. And so you won't be in that situation this year just because from personnel standpoint, things are so much better. But people talk about how many tackles the linebackers got last year. Well, somebody had to make them, because...
Well, Isaac Smith led the league because the first two levels couldn't tackle me. Right?
Well, Isaac lined up a lot of linebacker last year. And that's, he's more of a box safety than he is an over-the-top guy. And then you throw in Stone Blanton. Stone was one of the top tacklers in the conference, too. And so you get two guys with 120-plus tackles because you just simply couldn't get any push up front, and you didn't have guys that could fit gaps. And so, you're giving up 4 or 5 yards a carry at a minimum, and you just can't get off the field like that. And so you got to play complementary football, but it all starts up front. On both sides of the line of scrimmage, State should be better on the offensive line, and they should be better, markedly better on the defensive line. And I think that makes life a whole lot easier. And, the secondary showed some flashes at times last year. Even in the Egg Bowl, I thought those guys played pretty well. But the reality of it is you can't cover forever. You got to have some guys get pressure on the quarterback. And if you can do that, then all of a sudden, average play count comes down. You don't have guys out there having to, scramble to defend wide receivers. Because, how many times last year did you see where State actually got good coverage and then a receiver works back to the quarterback on third down and extends a drive? And it's because you couldn't get the quarterback on the ground.
Which goes back to what you said 2 weeks ago on the show, and that is you got to run the football, and you got to convert first downs to give your defense some time on the sideline. And they will be better running the football. We'll see how much better. Got a question from a listener. You mentioned Guyton, running back. True freshman last year.
Yep.
So basically the question is this guy, is he a legit SEC guy or is he more of a G5 guy?
I've always liked him, and I like him at running back. When he was first coming up down in Brookhaven, I wondered if he wouldn't be a safety, but he is an explosive player, and I would venture to say he was State's most explosive running back last year. He just kind of had to learn the position a little bit better. Kind of ran a little wildcat stuff there at Brookhaven. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like just letting him get by on athleticism. But he had to kind of learn the nuances of the position, and we expect to see a more polished product this year. But on the one touchdown that he scored, there was nobody running that guy down. Once he broke into the secondary, it was a foot race, and he won it. And so I think he is an interesting piece. I don't think that he's a guy that's going to carry, the football a lot, but I do think you put him in there and he can save some wear and tear. And he is a guy that can pop a little bit too. And he has added a little bulk too. So, he runs behind his pads pretty well. But when I think about this running back room, Bo,
it's Fluff first.
I remember sometimes last year, like I would turn to Mike Nemeth in the middle of the ball game, and I'd be like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Right? And Booth early on, if you recall, he had trouble finding the ball, and then trouble finding the hole. He just couldn't really navigate and read his blocks well. And there would be times that an offensive lineman would have a guy sealed to the outside, and rather than cut inside the block, we ran outside and then run into a tackle. Well, about halfway through the year, he kind of figured that thing out, which I think speaks a lot about Anthony Tucker and about Davin Booth, is it took him a little while to kind of figure this thing out. And then you think about all the carries that Fluff had last year at South Alabama. I just think this group is going to be a lot better than they were last year, which will take a lot of pressure off the quarterback room.
So Fluff, the running back from South Alabama, I mean, they actually beat Ole Miss, who's beat them on I don't know how many players the last few years, and has beat a lot of people in the portal. I mean, they beat Ole Miss and some worthy teams for Fluff, the running back out of South Alabama. Am I right there, Steve?
Yeah, and pretty much as soon as Fluff got up there, and this is not a shot at Ole Miss. I know people always expect that, but the reality of it is there are some guys who just fit in better at State, and there are some guys who just fit in better at Ole Miss.
Sure.
And after the visit, he's a small town Alabama kid, and just felt more comfortable here. It wasn't that anybody did anything wrong at Ole Miss. He just didn't feel as comfortable there, and just felt like he would have more success here. And so he's here. There's some guys out there that are just a better cultural fit for one school or another in this state. And that's kind of how this thing kind of boiled down with Fluff, is he just felt like that, Jeff Levy and Starkville was a better fit for him. And he should be a very valuable piece this year, especially when you're trying to put a game away. When you've got Booth already and you feel good about his production, and then you think about Fluff, as physical as he is, and then Johnny Daniels. I mean, this is a team I think will play well with a lead, because I think they're going to have the ability to kind of lean on people and run the football with some success.
All right. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. They're loaded up with content. Okay? They're locked in. Football, obviously, but anytime Brian O'Connor or anything happens in the baseball program and so on, Jans, Hubbard, they're there. Do you expect – this is going to be an interesting answer from you. Charles Huff versus Jeff Levy, game 1. Should this game be close?
Well, I think it'll be competitive for maybe a half or maybe 3/4. I think in the end, State should be able to out-athlete them. But, what's the line on that game right now? 13.5, something like that. That's probably about right. We'll see. And listen, if State goes down there and beats them well, I don't think that's an indictment on Southern Miss. I think Huff's going to do really well down there. And you're getting them game 1, right? I mean, there's just so many things that go wrong in game 1, because you just hadn't done it before. And you got a lot of new faces, and they got a ton of transfers too. And so it'll be interesting, and I think it'll probably be closer than some Mississippi State fans want. But, I do expect State to go down there and win that game and probably cover. But if State goes down there and wins that game big, then I think you can feel, somewhat optimistic. But at the end of the day, you got to understand it's the first game for a new staff and a new stadium. A lot of expectations, obviously. And I do think Huff's going to do well there. Maybe not this year, but I think he is going to do really well there.
Yeah, I think they're going to win a bunch of games this year, like 8-4 or something like that. But we'll see. Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds show. We were talking defense a few minutes ago. If somebody is going to emerge, or one or two guys, as pass rushers, who's the leader in the clubhouse? Who's it going to be, Steve?
Yeah, I really like Will Whitson, but I'm curious to see how they're going to use him. He's a guy that he could play 3 in some alignments. He could play the 5-tack. He could get out there on the edge at times. I think that he's a guy that was a big get for State, obviously. That was one of those bigger wins in the portal. And then you look at Malik Sela, a guy that has got length for days, and he's a guy that didn't have a lot of time at A&M, but he has flashed some early on, and the staff seems to be excited about him. But I think a lot of this too is just Vincent Dancy's addition. If you look at what he did at Colorado, with the ability to get TFLs up there, if he gets anywhere close here, I think you're going to feel really good about things. And listen, a lot of times it's not just getting the sack, right? It's just influencing the quarterback and, maybe forcing an early throw or forcing an off-balance throw. And the more they throw it, the better chance you got to catch one of them too. And, I tell you a guy that I'm really excited about, and he flashed down the stretch last year, is Zachary Tillman out of Florence. He was a guy that was when we first found him, he was a safety. And then by the time he got to be a senior, he was absolutely a linebacker because he kind of ate his way out of the position, right? I mean, he bulked up. And then you saw last year, he had like a block punt, and then he had the big sack of Jackson Dart in the Egg Bowl. I mean, this is a guy that has kind of put himself in a situation where they just can't keep him off the field. It's like if you ever let him out there, you're going to have to keep him out there because he's going to keep flashing. And this is a guy we talk about, this linebacker room and all these new additions, but I think sometimes people forget Zachary in the mix, and the guy's just a football player, and he is a guy that finds the football, and that's the number one thing on defense. We go back to even Pee Wee and Pop Warner football. The number one goal of defense is to go get the football, and that's just something that Zachary Tillman just has a very natural ability to do, to diagnose a play, work the angle, and go get the football. And don't be surprised if he has a huge year for State this year.
Okay. All right. Steve Robertson, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. One thing I will say, too, that, talking with Cliff Odom, who is a fabulous guy, I don't know if you've had a chance to interact with him very often, but he seems to be pretty optimistic about his group on the special team side. I mean, and you'd expect that with Kyle Ferry. I think Kyle missed, one extra point and 2 field goals last year. Really, really consistent. So they feel pretty good about that. And, Nick Barmera isn't here, so they're kind of figuring out some things on the punting side. But, this is a team that's not going to be able to give away like those mystery yards on special teams. You're going to have to go out there and convert and cover. And I think just talking to Cliff, on and off the record, I get the feeling that he feels really good about his group here in year 2. And when you're going to be in a lot of these toss-up games, special teams are going to matter. And I think in some respects, if State is successful in getting to a bowl game, I think Cliff Odom's going to be a big part of that, he and his group, just because I think so many of these toss-up games are going to be very close. And those special teams plays could be the difference in winning and losing.
Steve, we appreciate it, man. Thanks.
See you, bud.
GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. A lot on the line this year for Mississippi State football. They need to bounce back. They need to start off 4-0. On paper, they're better than every team, including Arizona State. Arizona State doesn't even recruit in the 50s. Yet Dillingham just kind of found some mojo, right? And some transfers. One of them's with the New York Giants now. And Sam Levitt may be top 2 or 3 quarterback in the country. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m. and this ain't okay show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
On aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Oh. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Good morning, good morning. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for making us your sports and entertainment show of choice in this amazing state. And thanks for streaming the show outside of the radio area and terrestrial footprint. Streaming on thezone1059.com and the Out of Bounds radio app. We're loaded up with guests today. We don't usually do that. Three. But we decided to do that today just because of my schedule this week. So we had Tom Luginbill on earlier. He was great. And then Steve Robertson. Dave Bartoo will join us coming up in 30 minutes. Looking forward to that. Bartoo's Bangers. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Hey, the show is driven by Fowler GMC. If you're in the market for a GMC Sierra truck or GMC Yukon, pre-owned or new, used or new, you want to go to Fowler GMC. Fowler GMC, right there on the Pearl Brandon line. How about that? And they've got a great selection of SUVs and trucks. FowlerGMC.com. FowlerGMC.com. Hit it today. Bo Bounds, Jay Meadows in the house with you as we roll on toward football season. And last night I was batching it. Just wanted to let you know, Jackson Meadows. Wendy was in Starkville. She stayed another night. And Ella Hall and Wilkes are already up there. So it was just me,
Fried egg,
and the dog. And I cooked a burger in the skillet, then dropped an egg in the... I'd never cooked an egg in my life till this last year.
That's incredible.
I know. I know.
What?
I'd never cooked an egg or eggs in my life.
That's absurd.
And so I cooked the burger in the cast iron skillet. And then after I cooked the burger, I took it out, put it on a plate, and just dropped the egg in there.
Fried an egg. That is
in the cast iron.
That is frying an egg.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought I did pretty good.
I'd say.
That's the second or third time I've cooked eggs in my life.
Absurd.
I feel great. I'm borderline a chef.
I mean, at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're going to the Michelob Ultra caller line, 601-707-3750. And Gator Matt's going to tell us how Napier is going to the college football playoff and DJ Lagway will win the Heisman. Gator Matt?
Well, can we do that before you drop dead of a heart attack? Bo, how many weeks out are we?
A few.
Bo, I'm tell you what, I lie every year about this time.
Right.
But I'm really about to go deep. I mean, I'm ready to just full-fledged just lie like I've never lied before in my life. Bo, this is the best team they've had.
Yeah.
It's the deepest team they've had since
Urban?
09. Yeah.
Ooh,
they are.
I love it.
Bo, let me tell you right now.
You got that wool going. You're woolly.
Okay, listen, we're not going to talk about Napier because that's just that we won't talk about him. But the running back room, best in the country. Offensive line, best in the country.
Woo, better Notre Dame. Okay.
Yes. Linebacker core, best in the country. DB's very solid, very solid.
Okay.
Wide receivers outside of Ohio State could be the best wide receiver room in the country.
God, are you already drinking tequila? I love this, man.
Yes.
I love where you're going.
And let me tell you, but it's all predicated on one thing. If that kid stays healthy,
right,
and he does what we think he can do, they're going to go 10-2, 11-1. And I only say that because the schedule is just so ridiculous. But Bo, I'm so excited, but at the same time, I know 4 months from now you may never hear from me again. See ya.
All right. Well, first of all, go Gators. It's I like Florida, and it's fun when they're good. You're right, DJ. For our listeners, DJ Lagway is the quarterback who he's referencing at Florida, and he wasn't healthy last year for the most part, but he found some magic on one leg at the end of the season and beat some teams. And Napier did an amazing job keeping that thing together after they lost to Miami to start the year, and everybody freaked out and said he was going to get fired.
Correct.
And then both quarterbacks got knocked out. They played the walk-on from Yale. Everybody was thinking, what is this thing going to do? And then Lagway got healthy enough, and they won some games. I agree with him in the trenches. It's the best they've been in years. Athletically, Napier and the crew have done a good job. They have a really, really talented roster. They get to open up with 2 cupcakes, which is Florida hasn't done that. So that's huge. And then they go to LSU week 3. So that is, and they can even lose that game because I think they come back and they go to Miami. I mean, I know they do, but I think they'll win that game. They'll win the game at Miami. It's not a home field advantage for Miami. It's, stadium's 45 minutes from people don't go unless they're 12-0. So they'll be, if the Gators are even winning at all, which they should be, Gators will go down there. It will not be a home field advantage for Miami. Nobody shows up because there's a million things to do down there. And Florida should win. And then they take a week off and they host Texas. And they should win that game too. At home.
Man. They should win that game.
Yes, they should beat Texas at home.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where I am with them.
Yeah, okay.
And if they do, if they win that game and they split at LSU at Miami,
they're a playoff team.
They set themselves up to make a run because they can manage the rest of what's going on, even though it's difficult. There's some great Mississippi State at home.
If they beat Texas, and
Georgia, I can't remember whether you told me a couple weeks ago.
It's at Florida. Oh wait, when they're
is it Tampa
hold
or
on. The new cocktail party site?
Yeah, because they're because of the renovations, right, to Jaguar Stadium or something. And I've been down to the cocktail party. Had no idea it was that cool. Never in a million years did I think they could make a neutral site game that awesome.
It's at Everbank this year. Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville.
Oh, it is there.
Deep.
Okay. Oh, it changed. Lyle's on it. It changes next year. Thank you. Okay. All right. So it's in Jacksonville where it's been for a long time. Florida will have a chance to win that game.
If they beat Texas and split those two you were just talking about, they're in the playoffs.
Then at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee at home, Florida State at home. Yeah, it is. It is a really, really difficult schedule. But they've got a really good team. Gator Matt is the hype and propaganda man for Gator football. Oh, I think they're going to be good, Mr. DX. Yeah, I do. I don't know. Well, let's look at their win totals.
8.5.
Talk about it on the other side. Bartoo in 20 minutes. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're driven by your next GMC Sierra truck at Fowler GMC. Visit FowlerGMC.com. FowlerGMC.com. Looking for luxury, performance, and unbeatable deals? Head to Fowler GMC in Jackson. Whether it's the rugged GMC Sierra truck or the refined Yukon, Fowler GMC has the ride to match your lifestyle. Family owned, locally trusted, and stocked with the latest models, plus certified pre-owned options you can count on. Come see why Fowler GMC is Mississippi's destination for trucks, SUVs, and exceptional service. Go online, FowlerGMC.com, where Mississippi drives. I may have gone a little. You want me to do it again? Okay. What are you going to cut? No, I got to say go online. Yeah, let me write. I got time. All right. Looking for luxury, performance, and unbeatable deals? Head to Fowler GMC in Pearl right now. Whether it's the rugged GMC Sierra truck or the refined GMC Yukon, Fowler GMC has the ride to match your lifestyle. Family-owned, locally trusted, and stocked with the latest models, plus certified pre-owned options you can count on. Come see why Fowler GMC is Mississippi's destination for trucks, SUVs, and exceptional service. Online at FowlerGMC.com, where Mississippi drives. Did I make it? Cool. I'm excited about this trip. I should probably take the podcast stuff just in case I do a pod. Right. It's just a little bitty box, 2 headsets. I think I can get that in my backpack, and then I'll just have a little rolling carry-on. Right? Yeah, fly out tomorrow morning, fly in Thursday night. We're going on this private tour that they got us in that they haven't even let anybody go on because they just did this expansion or some shit. Good morning. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. The show is brought to you by Fuse.Cloud, and that's Fuse.Cloud. Most businesses wait until something breaks to fix their tech, but that downtime costs you money. Fuse.Cloud flips the script. Their managed IT services are proactive. Fuse.Cloud, F-U-S-E, Fuse.Cloud, fixing problems before they hit, monitoring your systems 24/7, and they're locally owned. Fuse.Cloud, F-U-S-E, Fuse.Cloud. Make sure your business never skips a beat. Check them out, Fuse.Cloud, F-U-S-E. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We had our fantasy football draft yesterday. I thought it was pretty epic. And we're in a, what's it called? Dynasty League?
Dynasty.
Started off 2-0 last year, 3-2. Did we even win another game?
No, we went 3-2 through 5, and that was that. But hey,
let's just focus on the positive.
3-2 through 5 without having to check it.
We never even put our team in, and we started off 3-2.
That ought to tell you everything you need to know.
Right.
We're dangerous.
Yeah.
Why is there air?
We are dangerous. Probably go ahead and put us in the championship game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought that, yeah. Yeah. Or just pay us the money.
All right. And we had the first pick, and we got Ashton Genty, running back out of Boise State, who's under Pete Carroll with the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's right.
Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly told everybody last year, his agent told everybody last year that Chip was only going to be in college for 1 year, and I'll be damned.
Yep.
He's the offensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Thought he did a great job kind of tweaking some things. And they win the national championship. Hell of a bounce back after losing to Michigan. Now Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator for the Raiders. What do you think?
Just like he drew it up.
Just like he drew it up. Maybe not a head coach, but one hell of a play caller.
Gosh.
Doesn't want to recruit, which he didn't have to at Ohio State, and he doesn't have to at the Raiders, because Ohio State, they can handle it for him, and Raiders obviously don't recruit.
Right.
So he's in a good spot, making, I don't know, what he's making, probably $2 million a year as offensive coordinator, and he's happy. And he's hanging out in Las Vegas with Pete Carroll. You think Carroll has told Chip Kelly he needs to get in shape?
No.
Kelly's got kind of one of those Mark Stoops type bellies.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I don't think Chip's been to Orange Theory.
No, Chip's healthy, boy.
Like Pete Carroll, I don't know what he's doing, but I think Pete does Orange Theory, Pilates, yoga, all in the same day.
Oh, my God.
What?
He's the highest paid coordinator in the league at $6 a year.
$6 million a year for Chip Kelly. Damn.
Good Lord.
Mark Davis, I thought they were notorious for being cheap, but evidently they've decided to spend some. Of course, Pete didn't come cheap.
No.
Because he'd already made a fortune at Seattle. So now you got Pete Carroll, the head coach, Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, Ashton Genty at running back.
He may double the next person.
Really? Wow.
I mean, I know Monken gets paid pretty well.
He's getting paid more than Brian Schottenheimer, who's the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Jerry likes to go cheap. I was listening to a podcast over the weekend, John Middlecoff, who's like an NFL dude, right? That's all. He was like, he got into this tirade about how bad Jason Garrett was as a head coach. I'm like, no kidding. He was like, how was he a head coach for that long? And he was that average. Well, Romo and Dak.
Right.
Made him hang around and go to the playoffs every other year. Or they would have been the New York Jets.
Wow, man. Todd Monken makes $3 million a year. He was
with the Ravens?
Correct. He was the highest paid coordinator until Chip came through, and he's at 6.
Chip's got a hell of an agent.
Who's his agent?
Or something. Or Pete Carroll was like, I have to have him.
No way. I mean, that doesn't come out of salary cap or anything, though, does it?
Oh, no. NFL teams can do whatever they want.
Yeah, so that's
just like college teams.
That's right. So they can put the bill.
I mean, Pete Golden's probably making $2 million at Ole Miss as a defensive coordinator. Derek Nix, 1.5-ish at Auburn as offensive coordinator. He's not even the play caller. I mean, he's a hell of an assistant coach, but he's not even the play caller.
According to bookingagentinfo.com, Chip Kelly is currently not represented by an agent.
Okay. So he just did the deal.
No way. I don't believe that. I don't believe he did it by himself. How in the world would he have gotten 6?
He had leverage.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
I mean, do you want me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's what it's going to take.
Right. Man. Double up the other guy.
I mean, Florida State's paying Gus Malzahn a fortune.
For what? Yeah.
And Mike Norvell is a play caller and an offensive guy who's the head coach at Florida State.
Yeah, what in the world?
Will he be a head coach again, Jackson?
Gus?
I think
Does
so.
he want to be a head coach again? Yeah.
Watch out if the Mississippi State, Arkansas, or Kentucky job. Trying to think of an ACC job that could open.
He's the Florida State OC.
He left as the head football coach of Central Florida.
Right.
To be the OC at Florida State.
On his own accord.
Right.
That's for what? UCF isn't the worst program. It's an okay program.
You can win at Central
they've
Florida.
Come a long way.
Yeah. I don't even know who replaced Gus Malzahn at Central Florida.
Good question.
Now that I think about it. That's a good, you're in the Big 12. You're in Orlando.
Oh, yeah. No. They did the retread deal. They went back and got Scott Frost again.
Oh, that's right. Once Frost, he's been gone from Nebraska for a minute, I think.
Yeah, he was tired of that.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work out.
Ever. There's a drive, unlike Notre Dame, they don't have a chance to win another one.
Central Florida?
No, Nebraska.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the year that they went undefeated and claimed the national title.
I love that.
That was Danny White before he moved from athletic director at Central Florida to athletic director extraordinaire at Tennessee. He and Keith Carter, two of the best athletic directors in the country. What Keith's done at Ole Miss, what Danny White's done at Tennessee, impressive, for sure. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Lunch today is brought to you by Martin's in Livingston. A blue plate. Jackson, you like a blue plate?
Love a blue plate.
What's your favorite blue plate? I mean, not restaurant.
Right.
What's your favorite,
Maybe it's either chicken and dumplings or chicken tetrazzini.
Okay.
Love chicken tetrazzini.
A lot of them do a chicken spaghetti.
Yes, that's what I'm going with, yeah.
Okay.
Chicken spaghetti, chicken tetrazzini, a lot of same things.
All right. Good.
Love a hamburger steak, though.
Okay.
The classic hamburger steak with gravy.
Lots of gravy for you.
Lots of gravy and got to have mashed potatoes.
Okay. So you like hamburgers. I guess that's what I cooked a hamburger in a skillet.
That's pretty much a hamburger steak.
And put an egg on it last night. And I had gone by the farmer's market on Saturday on the way to Starkville, Cali Melons in Canton, and I picked up some tomatoes. Man. And so I sliced up some tomatoes and I drizzled a little olive oil on there. And I got one of the Wickers seasoning, and I don't remember which one. I think it was Chop House. Just did a little dash there and put that all together as far as burger, farmer's market, tomato, and fried egg. I feel like I got some good protein and tomatoes. What do you think about that? Awesome. Dave Bartoo next.
I kick his ass out. Pac-12 sucks.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show.
They got must-champed.
It is that time.
Ooh, baby.
Bartoo's Bangers, brought to you by Pearl River Resort, the beautiful Golden Moon Casino. Inside there, the Timeout Lounge Sportsbook, full bar and food menu. Full bar and food menu. Book your stay and play right now. Award-winning golf, Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, PearlRiverResort.com.
Get that guy drunk. I bet he'd fight everybody.
We welcome in Dave Bartoo, Bartoo's Bangers on the Out of Bounds Show. Good morning, Sunshine.
Dude, how's my favorite Mississippi fluffer?
Well, I feel pretty good about it. You know, you and I had a great hour and 15-minute conversation on Saturday. You basically drove me into Starkville, and I appreciate it because I love you and you're a friend. But we were talking about all kinds of different things. And, the one thing that, and we're going to hit on several South Carolina in a minute, but the one thing we talked about is, national championship teams and how difficult it is now, Bartoo, with the portal to handicap or project what could happen because of the shakeup in college football. How do you see it?
Well, I don't know if it's the portal so much in that most of your top 10 recruiters, high school recruiters, are good. Most of them have good offenses and good defenses and good staffing, right? I mean, the hallmark of a national championship team is a top 10 high school recruiter the last 4 years, right? And a offensive coordinator, 3.5 stars or better, defensive coordinator, 3.5 stars or better, right? According to the way, my company ranks careers for coaches. And usually, last year there were 5 teams that checked all the boxes, right? Top 10 recruiter, had a good OC, had a good DC, and in 2023 had a really good offensive, defensive scoring efficiency combination. Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Georgia. Those were your 5 national championship contenders last year. And usually the group that checks all the boxes is like 3, 4, 5 teams. This year, almost all your top 10 recruiters are there, right? Georgia, Alabama, all these teams had really good seasons last year. Now throw out LSU because their coaching staff and their performance last year was one of the worst amongst top 10 recruiters. But outside of that, everybody's in it. And I don't think anybody would argue that depth is low now with NIL. I would argue that player continuity and experience to an offense and defense is much lower, more than anything. And so I feel that 2025, this is as wide open of a national championship run as I've ever seen in my life.
Damn, Diamond Dave Bartoo coming in hot on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by an Elijah Craig Old Fashioned.
That is right in the giblets, baby.
Okay, so never been more wide open, just like last year. I think Notre Dame has been brought. Here's what I said for years on the show prior to this new disruption. I didn't think Notre Dame could win it. Okay, and now that we've had this disruption, and they've gone all in on retention and retaining players. And they're selling the whole prestigious Notre Dame degree and this, and they're doing well with this. Actually, Dabo has kind of gone through this model where he didn't go heavy in the portal, but they've just kept their players the last couple of years. So both these squads are older, Bartoo, and they've retained, and they still recruit well. I think Notre Dame in the top 8, 9, or 10, and Clemson in the top 13 or so. So that'll be an interesting model to look at too, Bartoo.
Yeah, like starts. I was on a show earlier, and this exact topic came up. And the SEC is focused on high school recruiting, as it should be, in my opinion, because you look at the NFL, you draft well, you don't use free agency, you win a lot of football games. You use free agency a lot, you don't draft well, you lose a lot of football games. And so the SEC focusing on high school players I believe is the right path. But when you lose a guy that has played in 24, 30 games, and you bring in the same athleticism, but he's 2 years younger and has no experience, that there's a disruption there, So the talent level might be there, but the experience level is what is being, blown up. And so I think that's what's really leveling the playing field. And I agree. Watch teams that have had a lot of player continuity with good coaching. You can have good player continuity with bad coaching, but good coaching, good player continuity, like you're talking about, Notre Dame, Clemson, and see what happens.
Ooh, Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right, let's go to South Carolina. They've all of a sudden become sneaky good, okay? I mean, Beamer's done a hell of a job. Everybody's going crazy over Lenora Sellers. This Clayton White cat can flat out coach on defense. Now they got a new OC that you really like. That's a more than familiar name. Talk to me about what South Carolina is doing, because they had a hell of a year last year, Bartoo.
They were a bad call away from a playoff, dude.
LSU, I know.
Right? Yeah, that pick six that got brought back. Woo wee, man. If I'm a South Carolina fan, which I'm slightly biased because we've rolled out our new player identification program throughout the state there. What they haven't done is put themselves into the top 10 of recruiting, right? That's what wins national championships. But you look at everything they have going for them. They were really good last year. Offense was solid. Defense was solid. Clayton White was the second best hire when Shane was hired at South Carolina. Pete Lembo was number one. Pete's now the head coach at Buffalo, deservingly so, and Pete's really good. And Clayton White had a high ceiling. He had a bad year a couple of years ago, and in typical SEC fan fashion, if you have one bad year, you should be fired. And then suddenly he has a good year, and now he's a great defensive coordinator. Y'all can't make your mind up. I get it. It's fun. But Clayton White's good. Lenora Sellers is, if there wasn't DJ Lagway, Lenora Sellers would be the biggest name in the SEC, in my opinion, without question. And, he's out of South Florence High School, up the road there. So, he's a South Carolina native. And I think you had an upgraded offensive coordinator. You lost Al Logains. And I think the offense at South Carolina last year was entirely driven by the quarterback and the quarterback coach. The quarterback coach is now the new offensive coordinator, and his numbers in the NFL were fantastic. And then you and I were talking about it a little bit under the radar, but South Carolina brought in Jeff Collins.
Yeah, strong.
And that guy's put up some numbers when he was a dog, huh?
He's the best defensive coordinator they've had, possibly ever. But that combo of Mullen and Jeff Collins was pretty damn awesome, Bartoo.
It was wicked good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and it's my opinion, I think Collins was a better coordinator than Dan.
Bam.
Dan's a great head coach.
Right.
But I think Collins, if you said, hey, you got to take Dan as your play caller or Collins as your defensive play caller, you can't have both. You got to take one to start your program. I'm taking Collins on the defensive side. A lot of people are jaded against Jeff because the last thing it's selection bias, right? What did he do? What was the last thing he did? Well, he got fired from Georgia Tech.
Right.
So people have blinders, selection bias. It's like Mike Bobo at Georgia. Oh, he stinks. He was terrible at Auburn. He was terrible at South Carolina. You look at his whole career, he ain't terrible. And the offense was what kept Georgia in it last year when Georgia had the worst defensive scoring efficiency under Kirby in the last, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So South Carolina has a returning quarterback, right? And look at your big boys. Georgia, new quarterback. Alabama, new quarterback. Texas, new quarterback. Texas still has Sarkisian, so they'll figure out a way to Sark a game at some point, no matter how good they recruit. So I'm not worried about that. So, South Carolina, this might be that window. And how Shane has done it, man, I have no idea. I really don't. I haven't been able to talk to him, which would be great. Closest I ever got is just stand on his balcony in the office and look at Williams Bryce, but he was out of town, so didn't get to have a conversation. And But I think what he's doing culturally, organizationally, is brilliant. I think his staffing right now is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
He's got a returning quarterback that's one of the best in the country. You got some windows of opportunity in the SEC because of lack of experience and depth. The only thing you can't like about South Carolina is that schedule. That schedule is brutal.
Oof, I'm looking at it.
Brutal, right? It's as bad as Florida. It might be worse than Florida, because they still have Clemson on that schedule. And, oh, man, I wish Clemson, South Carolina was September 1. I'd actually stay home from elk hunting to watch that kind of thing. No, I think of all the teams out there that, quote unquote, the not top 20 recruiter dark horse in the SEC, everybody talks about Florida, which I do love me some Gators, but I really like the Gamecocks and what they're bringing to the table this year with Shula and White and Beamer and Sellers coming back.
Man, Shane's done a really good job. I didn't see it coming, and give him, props like Bartoo's said he's just staffing better and better and upgraded on offense. And he's got Clayton White and Jeff Collins on the defensive side of the football. I mean, that could be a game for him.
Oh God, that's just it's just tasty, right? I mean, it's just like that's what you hope for. It'd be like it feels like Lenora Sellers getting backed up by DJ Lagway. It's like if he goes down, that's cool. We got another guy coming right in. Yeah, big deal. What amazes me though is that I didn't realize this last year, and when Low Gaines went to App State, I was like, good luck with that, App State. Because I think Sellers made Low Gaines look awesome, because Low Gaines in the NFL was bottom 5 offensive play caller in the last 25 years.
Wow.
Just terrible. Just terrible, and it worked out last year. And so I give credit to Sellers, just like I give credit to Arizona State. I don't give it to Arroyo. His floor is worse in NCAA. I think Sam Leavitt might be the best NFL quarterback in college football right now in the future. So when Low Gaines left, though, to go to App State, I got a call from South Carolina, and they're like, hey, what do you think about going next man up? I'm like, what are you talking about next man up? They're like, well, we got Shula here. Shula was quarterback coach of Sellers all year. And I'm like, okay, let me get my NFL charts out. And Shula, and a lot of people go, well, he had Cam Newton at Carolina. Okay, I get that. Cam Newton made everybody look really good for a long time. But Shula has a top 5 scoring efficiency, 25 scoring efficiency number in the NFL in the last 25 years. Okay, he's right up there with a Chip Kelly.
Wow.
So I think South Carolina, him being Sellers' quarterback coach, then naturally coming into the offensive coordinator position, I do believe South Carolina upgraded at that, right? You got a quarterback coming back with more experience, and I would take Shula every day and twice on Sunday over Low Gaines. So Shane stepped in it. I didn't even realize Shula was there, and boom. It's like me bringing up Collins to you. You didn't even realize Collins went to South Carolina. And, Shane's pulling some levers. He's doing some right things right now, and it's pretty impressive.
All right, Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show. Bartoo's Bangers, brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and Lounge. Do you think because of this disruption, Bartoo, in football the last 2 to 3 years, do you think it's even more difficult to bet the games today or no?
I don't know about betting the games. I still think there's patterns to it. I think that it could be more difficult maybe on to me, like the national championship, I wouldn't bet on anybody. I don't know where that's going to go. I just wouldn't bet LSU and Ohio State. But everybody else is kind of on the board. But betting the games, I still think it just comes down to knowing your teams better than the book, and doing a proper evaluation of them. But I don't think much has changed there in terms of how people prepare to bet football.
What'd you ask? All right. What about the people setting the lines? Is it, because of the roster turnover and so many of these teams that we follow are adding 40 to 60 new players a year. In fact, the 3 teams in this state, for example, I know they're all in different spots, but Ole Miss, Southern Miss, and Mississippi State all added or whatever, rotate about 58 to 60 new players a team. But let's just take across the country. There were a bunch who have 40 to 60 new players. Do you think it makes it more difficult for the house?
Yeah, I think it certainly makes it more difficult for the house early on. That's why I think you got to get him in September, right?
Okay.
To me, your best chance to beat the house is September. October is better than November. It just starts to slide. It just gets tougher, right? As these guys get dialed in. I'll give you a really good example though of how the transfer portal, in terms of odds makers, has affected the SEC. Okay. In the last 3 years, 22, 23, 24, if you blindly bet all 14 team total unders in the SEC in 22, all 14 in 2023, all 16 in 2024. Okay. If you blindly bet all the unders, you'd be up money every year. Okay. So the books were overvaluing the SEC and they were performing under. This year, almost the win totals this year for SEC teams are almost a full game under where it was last year per team. Okay, and you've seen everybody talk about it. The 10.5 is 9.5, the 9.5 is 8.5. The 4.5 at Mississippi State's 3.5. Everybody's down almost a full game. Still the most talented conference in the country by a country mile, but the odds makers are saying these teams are just much more even and worse than they used to be as a composite. So I think that kind of tells you where the odds makers see this thing as much more of a level playing field because of the lack of experience and all the guys moving around.
Okay. Wow. So if you'd have blindly bet the under 22, 23, and 24,
you'd be up money.
You'd be up
money in the SEC. Now, I would love to know. So my question would be, did you guys, because the SEC is the most heavily bet conference in the country, okay? Did you guys juice the numbers knowing these people would bet the over so you could take their money? Or were those realistic lines and the SEC just has simply been underperforming the expectations of the odds makers? Because they're smart. They may make a line, but what the line that they post isn't necessarily what they calculate. They'll go and go, something, Bo is a Mississippi State honk, so we're going to give him, we're going to give him 4.5 for the total because we know he's going to bet over, even though we only have it calculated at 3.5. Right? There's a psychology to being a smart. There's being an odds maker, and then there's posting a line. Is two different things.
Fair enough.
So but I think the SEC as a whole is simply down across the board, and it's much more of a level playing field when you simply look at the totals this year versus last year.
Okay. All right. Bartoo's Bangers on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by the Golden Moon Casino. Diamond Dave is on a roll, and you can already tell he's almost in season form here. And so we like where where he's going. He's Lenora Sellers as far as upside. Okay, so don't you think though, whatever we're given, whatever model and rules, if there are any, that we're given, that and the guardrails or no guardrails, that the blue bloods are going to continue to figure it out and do what is necessary to have the best rosters, right? Yes. That's why I don't. That's why I don't really take the transfer portal into consideration. When you look at, I just look at the high school recruiting, because Alabama, Georgia, Texas, they're going to get the best high school recruits, right? Yeah. So what makes you think you're going to get the best transfer recruits then? Right? And so I know it may come down to how much money you may have to pay a guy, based on that. But, there's ways around that now, right? It's like, everybody has 20 million revenue sharing. Okay. You know what unbalances
unlevels the playing field, poker chips, we're right back to where we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Just because the rules say this is what you have to pay the players doesn't mean somebody else doesn't goose it to unlevel the playing field. That's what it's always been about, is unleveling the playing field to get players.
Right.
So it's just the numbers are just different. Some of it's out there a little bit more. The government's happy because they get to collect more income taxes because that's the only reason they approved it, in my opinion, is they got to make more money. Why else would they deal with it unless they're making more money? So, no, back to your question, the big brands still get the big players, and to get yourself into a top 10, top 15, top 20 spot, I think you got to catch lightning in a bottle, and staying there, like Oregon, unless you got a multi-billionaire that's willing to just pour money after money after money into your program, it is literally impossible to stay there. Only Oregon. Can you think of anybody else that has come out of nowhere and stuck? Clemson?
Yeah.
Clemson used to recruit in the 30s about 20 years ago. Now they're in the 15s. Ducks recruited in the 30s or so. Now they're in the 10s and 15s. But outside of that, nobody can stick. Everybody wants to.
Right.
Right? I mean, we've seen Ole Miss pull top 10 classes, but they can't consistently stay up there with those guys. And so they're looking for lightning in a bottle to try to make a run. They had their shot last year, and then they got stooped at home, and that was it. And now they got a 4-year, runway to try to get that back again. So now I don't see a lot of people making inroads on the big brands in the future.
All right, we'll leave it there. Diamond Dave Bartoo, Bartoo's Bangers, brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. So, are you going to wrestle a bear or something at lunch? What's happening today?
No. As soon as I'm done here, though, it's almost elk season, dude. It's I'm in preseason workouts, man. I'll be in the garage, in the gym as soon as I'm done here, and I'm going to be putting up trail cams. I got a 7.5 hour drive on Wednesday to where I hunt. And so I have 5 spots that I always keep an eye on during August. So I'll be out there and hopefully not wrestling any wolves or mountain lions while I'm out there, but that's just part of the game.
Ooh, so tasty and ironic.
All right. Love you, buddy. See ya. Be good.
Take it easy, bro. Thank you.
Have fun.
Hot take.
Bartoo. I think I didn't want to give him props while he was on, but he's in midseason form. I mean, this guy is locked in.
He's like a bad drinking game. It just won't end.
All right, good show today. Love it. Everything will be on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. So we had Tom Luginbill on, heavy SEC college football. Steve Robertson talking about the rebuild in Starkville, and can they turn the corner? Can Levy and Hutzler turn the corner in Chapin and Selman? And then Bartoo talking national championship profiles and South Carolina and sports betting. We'll see you tomorrow.